Retirement is often seen as a destination, but we believe it's an opportunity to pursue your passions, realize your dreams, and live a purposeful life. Great decisions, incredible lives. Retire with Intention podcast is about more than just money. It's about embracing the things that truly matter, the experiences, the relationships, and the impact you leave behind. Here is your host, John Creekmur.
Well, welcome to the show, and so great having everyone with us today. And as you all know, every single time we get together, we love to talk about really helping some phenomenal people just make great decisions to live incredible lives. And on today's show, I'm so excited that we have Lorie Jones with us. And Lorie just has got a phenomenal experience in life, phenomenal experience in her career, really from a number of different backgrounds, both on the 401k plan side, also on individual financial planning, incredible credentials behind her with her CFP. And I'm just so excited to have Lorie. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And a little quick background, Lorie. So I have pulled off your bio. I'm just going to read this, as a matter of fact. And so you're a highly experienced financial services professional with a background in technology, operation, and client services in the financial planning industry, financial services industry since 2013. An impressive array of credentials all behind you. Different security licenses, health, life, accident, property, casualty, all in the state of Colorado where you're sitting at today. Also, you have some time as far as working in the industry, as far as in the 401k side. You've also completed your certified financial planner designation, which that is a unbelievably hard designation to go through and complete. So congratulations on that. And also you have a membership of the Financial Planning Association. Welcome to the show. Hey, Lorie, before we get started today, with all the listeners, can you give a background as far as who you are, where you come from, and what is it you do specifically right now?
Sure. Thanks for asking. You know, I came up through I've got my first job as a receptionist in a small RIA firm, and I loved financial planning. I love everything about finance. In fact, I love it so much that my kids at this point are like, Mom, we've heard we're not interested. So I also never met a test that I didn't want to take or a letter that I didn't want to have behind my name. So I'm fascinated by all the intricacies of the different financial planning designations. I like to know a lot about a lot of different things. So that's me in a nutshell professionally. I think personally, I enjoy Colorado. I enjoy hiking with my family. I enjoy talking about finance to just about anyone who will sit still for longer than 15 minutes. And I love travel. So you'll most often find me talking about going on somewhere or going somewhere. So
I'll tell you what, so much of life, we talk about money. The show, we know a lot about making good decisions financially, but money is simply just a tool to help us live incredible lives. And we always say, that the things that a definition of true wealth is all the things in life that money cannot buy. And Lorie, it sounds like in your life is so full of so many things that really allow you to live an incredible life. So great to hear that background. I all of a sudden you were saying that you never saw a test you didn't like to take, and it's kind of like, that is so not like me. Good for you. That's so awesome. Hey, we're going to hop right in, but really every week we just love giving information out to folks, sometimes to provide some ways to think through things, maybe a little bit differently, but also just going through different processes to think through. And I was just thinking of listening to your background, both on the retirement plan side previously with Empower, and then also on the individual side currently, as far as with Fidelis Wealth out there in Denver. You've seen things from many different angles. And when I started thinking through that, I was kind of like, boy, how can comprehensive financial planning, so going through that financial planning process, how can that actually help folks as far as with their retirement readiness and their security as they're approaching retirement? Can financial planning help them as far as being more prepared and having a higher level of confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it time after time as we meet with clients, and you start with them years out from retirement. And one of the biggest satisfactions that we have is when they get to that retirement age and they come to us and they leave just knowing that they're ready to retire, that they have put forth the work and they're in a good place, and that watching that peace of mind as they walk out of there knowing that they're in the place they wanted to be and that they've worked for these years is really a sense of satisfaction. I think that the most important thing about comprehensive financial planning is that you really need to look at all the different pieces that are going to affect your financial life. Like you talk about this living a great life, that means different things to different people. And kind of delving into finding out what that means to your specific client, and then looking at things. A lot of times we know rules or regulations or things that will help them get to where they want to go, because we spend all day, every day looking at finances and markets and thinking about these things. And I think that is, our value is that we can kind of take the big picture viewpoint and say, hey, yeah, if you want to be where, at this spot in 10 years from today, these are maybe some things we can think about today. This is your tax planning strategy. This is your Roth investment strategy. I can't tell you how often I've found clients where I wish I would have gotten a hold of them 10 years earlier and looked at their whole financial plan instead of, picking apart a product to pitch to them like a lot of people do, right? So I think it just, in the end result, it brings so much financial peace of mind to have someone looking at everything there is to know about you and getting to know and trust and work with them through the road to retirement.
Lorie, you had just said something that I found so interesting. Interested to find out what your experience has been in working with people that you wish you had been working with somebody 10 years ago. And so you could have actually talked to them about their goals instead of just kind of looking at the products or the assortment of products that they maybe have in their portfolio, that somebody sold them a product that may or may not have been appropriate for them, or maybe it has not helped them actually achieve their goals. What's been your experience with most of the folks you talk to? Do most of them seem to have more of, like, we'll just call it maybe like that drawer in the kitchen that gets all the leftover stuff kind of thrown in there? Or do they have more of an organized plan when they come in? What's been your experience of most people?
Yeah, most people are busy living their lives, doing what they do. They are not, their whole job is not looking at their financial picture for the future. Their job is making a widget or growing a business or providing a service. And that's what they do. And that's what they're good at. A lot of times when they come to me, they're saying, hey, I don't have time to delve as deeply as I want to be able to achieve those 10-year goals down the line, to be able to be in a good place for retirement. But I know that you do. Lorie, I know that there's not a test you wouldn't take to figure out some trick to help out and look at our financial picture. And I think that's why they come to us. So I do think that the picture of like an assortment of things in the kitchen, drawer is more accurate. They come to me with this, 4 or 5 different statements from different places, but they don't have an overarching big picture idea of where they're going, and helping them craft that so that they can achieve the goals they want to achieve is really part of, my reason for doing what I do, is that helping them figure out first what their best life looks like so that we can take the steps to get them, on that journey.
So when you help them figure out what their best life looks like, and so that which I think is a great way of phrasing it, right? Is like, what does that look like to you? And paint us a picture of that. And are there some ways that you walk through, or maybe what are some key considerations, maybe a better way of saying it, that you ask people to think through in developing those goals? Is there certain ways that you walk through that to help people identify those goals?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that one of the tactics we use that's maybe be a little bit unique is that a lot of times when you ask people, hey, what do you want for retirement? And they come up with a number goal, or they don't come up with any goal at all. They're like, I don't know, what should I have saved for retirement? I'm not exactly sure what I should do. So I think that coming at them with what does your retirement look like to you? What are you doing? How are you spending your time? What do you envision yourself? What do you enjoy doing now? What do you think you're going to do more of? And not sometimes the idea of actually quitting work and retiring is scary for people. They don't even like the idea of they like me. They love their job. They love what they do. They don't want to stop doing it. So kind of giving them the idea, if you had all the freedom in the world to do anything you wanted, what would your days look like? What would you be doing? And that kind of gives them a chance to reflect and think, hey, what would I do if I, had this unlimited time and unlimited, it's just what makes me happy, what fills my bucket, what makes me my best life. And I think that's the way we kind of come at that, so that we're less what number do you need to retire? And or, hey, who are you? What do you want?
Yeah, I love that, Lorie. Who are you? It's just so oftentimes, people, they work their entire life, and that's what they know ever since they started working, right? Is they get up in the morning, same pattern, same times, they work, they get their paycheck on a usual schedule, and then all of a sudden to be thinking, boy, I'm not doing that anymore. And I think that's why sometimes whenever people don't have those conversations, like you're guiding them through, we even see health issues crop up after they retire. We see sometimes longevity, not what it could be. And definitely that joy and contentment is not there. And so having conversations with someone that can hear you and that truly is empathetic to what you're doing, it helps you actually prepare and live that incredible life. And it's kind of funny to say this. I've actually stopped using the word retirement in a lot of conversations, because it's really just that next stage of life. And what can you do to set your financial resources to live out the life that you've envisioned? And really, that's what you're doing, Lorie, when you talk to people, is you're helping them craft those ideas and dreams in order to be able to make better investment decisions. And speaking of investment decisions, how would you say that investment management itself, what size of role does that play in generating income, but then also in preserving wealth during retirement? Does that play a large role as far as with the investment side of things?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you asked. This is a passion topic of mine, is that I work a lot, even still with the Fidelis Wealth. I work in the 401k space a lot because I enjoy that the 401k space brings me to the people's first interaction with investing in a lot of places, and teaching them those good investing principles. So I enjoy that. And when we do an enrollment meeting or an education meeting for one of our 401k plans, I show a slide that says, basically, I would like to tell you, and people probably would like to think, that what they invest in is going to make the difference in retirement. If they just choose the right stock, everything will be great, right? And actually, 75% of your success in your next phase is not necessarily investing in what you choose to invest in. It's how much you save and kind of the amount of risk that you take. If you are, I always talk about to my clients, if you're going to bury your money under the mattress, you're going to earn a return of burying your money under the mattress, and you probably won't have the kind of success that you'd like. So there is an element of making sure that you're taking appropriate risk and thus gaining the reward that comes with that. But the biggest portion of your success during the next phase of your journey is on that disciplined savings, which you put into it. And that gives a lot of people a lot of satisfaction, because that means they've got some control over it.
Right, for sure. And so really talking about the 401k, that means that folks are in that accumulating phase to where they're actually saving the dollars. But then again, also whenever we approach retirement, we have that deaccumulation phase in which we're spending the dollars. Do you see people, do they have a strategy when they come into meetings where they say, okay, I've been accumulating money, now I need to talk about income. should I make changes? Or is that something where some folks, maybe they say, boy, I need to use the money, so I can't afford to lose it. So let's go 100% safety. And so have many folks thought through as far as their portfolios and how that should be structured?
In general, I would say the answer is no on that. That when they come to us during that transition phase, a lot of times they're a little bit scared because you work your whole life, and your whole life you're taught to save and accumulate, and that's what you're used to. And transitioning from that accumulation phase to being comfortable with then spending, those funds and in a way that you're not, that you can make it through, to the end, whenever that is. Although our accounting software says 95 years old. And so I always warn them, I'm like at 95 years old, that's the end. That's what we said. But they are having they do have to learn a different mindset at that point and kind of learn how to transition. And we help them with that. This is what transition looks like. This is how we're going to help you move from this save and to, hey, this is what retirement looks like. This is what my next phase, my journey is going to. And so we do help them out with that. I think something that's kind of important to give them the peace of mind as far as helping them know that I have one client that's like rice and beans. If I could just stay in rice and beans to the end of life, it's okay. So I'm like, you're good. We got you in rice and beans. We're good. Right. But I think one of the important things is we do have a financial plan that kind of shows that cash flow through the end of their life. And when they see those numbers and they see that, hey, I can take this much out each month and I'm still going to be just fine. Yeah. So that brings a lot of comfort.
It does. It sounds like your role when talking with people, it's not just the numbers, is it? It has to do with really a lot of things. And how do you get them to make good decisions? And a lot of times it's helping them to be able to manage their expectations and their emotions in the midst of everything.
Yeah, I think that financial planning is honestly half psychology. So, you're always talking to them and just talking through what our brain wants to tell us about money sometimes is not what is actual reality, because when the market's going down, you get scared, So you do talk to someone who's like, hey, we've seen this before. This happened. This is typically what we do. We've got to think long term. Yeah, sure, today is scary, but we've got a 10-year plan, and that's what we're working on.
Yeah. 10-year plan. I love that. I love it. It's phenomenal. I was thinking about different periods of time of life, and we go to that next stage of life. And I remember way back in the day when I first started working with people, and this is going to age me, but like in 1991, which is kind of crazy. A lot of folks retiring then, they had their Social Security as a guaranteed income source, but also a lot of folks also had a government or corporate provided pension plan that gave them a certain level of income every month, but they didn't have a large 401k balance or the retirement savings. And then we know that's all shifted, right? And so a lot of companies don't have a pension plan. Instead, they have their 401k. And a lot of government employees, they still have some level of a pension there. But now we're seeing the 401k industry change, actually and pushed forward by some of just demand and some things recognizing folks really don't have the income they need. And so they're incorporating some level of guaranteed income out of the 401k or an option to bring in, if you will, an annuity stream of income. Lorie, are you seeing many people having an interest in that? Or is that still kind of something which they don't have much education or knowledge of at this time?
Yeah, I think that's a gray area as far as there are times when that guaranteed stream of income is appropriate, and there are times when it just isn't, right? So yeah. I do like that the 401k space and that retirement space and that savings space has opened up a little bit to come up with new ideas. But I do think that with our clients, I think following the same principles that they've been following and that we suggest that they follow. You save consistently. You invest appropriately. Those lead to the best outcomes. It's not about a specific product or a specific guarantee. So I see that.
As well as have a consistent plan, and also recognizing one consistency is change. And so as government policy changes, regulations change, tools change, markets change, that's why you want to make sure you have the trusted advisor like Lorie to be able to talk to and ask questions to, because stuff always changes. One of those big changes that we see, Lorie, is taxes. Taxes, it seems like every morning I wake up, there's some discussion about what's going to be changing in tax law and how it affects the federal level, the state level, the local level. So we look at taxes, we need to recognize that in retirement, it's not just about that gross number as far as of your income, but it's really your net spendable dollars after tax. Have you seen that there's some ways as far as for retirees and pre-retirees to be structuring their portfolios and their investment accounts to maybe have a higher level of after-tax income? Is there things that they can be doing maybe even before they retire?
Yeah, when I mentioned I'd like to get a hold of some of these people 10 years earlier than I did, that's the exact piece that I like to focus on. If we can look at where they're saving and what kind of accounts they're saving in, pre-tax versus post-tax. I, especially as I'm working with these 401k participants, a lot of them are really a lot younger, and getting them on the path to that Roth savings type is super helpful. And a lot of 401k plans now have that option. So I think that I'm really passionate about making sure that you've got different buckets to pull from during retirement. Make sure you've got your pre-tax bucket. Make sure you've got your Roth bucket. Make sure you've got your after-tax savings types. Make sure that you've got different places so that you can be more flexible with your income during that next phase. And if you start planning, the problem is if you come to me the day that you're retiring, there's less flexibility in making those planning choices so that you can manipulate that source of income during retirement. Whereas if you come to me, 10, 15 years before retirement, we start planning for it early, we can make a huge difference.
I just wrote down diversification of your tax strategy. We talk about diversification, everyone's thinking, maybe I should have so many numbers of mutual funds or my exchange traded funds, or I don't want to have just one stock, I want to have 8 or 10, so I'm diversified. Well, even your tax strategy needs to be diversified, because we know tax law changes, and you don't want to be sitting there holding only one type of tax status on your investments. So I love that advice of diversification of tax strategy. It's huge. Whenever you think about people and they're working on their planning, and we've talked about all these different things. We have different investment portfolios, different tax strategies. It really seems like it all comes back to, though, you shouldn't be focusing on those, whether they be practices or strategies or products, until you have those goals, whether been identified and laying out there. And you've mentioned a 10-year window for goals a couple of times. Do you find there's different periods of time to set goals that make sense? And I know you also said that your planning software goes to 95 years. So should we be having a 40-year goal, or is a 1-year goal sufficient? What time range should folks be looking at and setting goals?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. And I like to chunk it out in 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, and beyond, right? So you have different, and I don't necessarily have my clients sit down and fill out a worksheet where they're filling out their 1 year goals and their 20-year goals and things like that. But what you do this year affects what's going to happen to you in 5 years, affects what's going to happen to you in 15 and 20. A lot of times we can't really envision, we can't see 20, we can't see 30 years down the road. We can't see that. But what we can see is, and make really concrete, this is what we need to do this year, next year, and the year after in order to get to that 20-year goal. This is what we need to save. This is our practices that we need to implement. These are, and I will typically talk, I'll say, okay, this is what's coming up when we're doing our annual reviews. This is what's coming up in the next year. These are things we need to think about right now, right? I am going to come back and talk to you about these certain subjects sometime in the next 3 or 4 years. You're getting closer and closer to being finished with this, day job and the next phase, whatever looks the next phase for you. So these are the things we're going to do in the next 10 years. We don't necessarily sit down and map it out, but we definitely do have, road marks. We have places along the line where we check in and say, hey, are we still on track? And we have to be flexible. The world changes so quickly, and I had one that had triplets when they were expecting one kid, right? So you got to kind of be flexible and understand that this is the way it looks now, and we're setting these 5 years, 10 years, but this can't be written in stone. We have to be flexible.
We do, and it's one of those things that be flexible, make adjustments, and that's also why you'll be reviewing your goals on a regular basis, talking to your advisory team, your advisor on a regular basis, and making sure you're staying up as life changes. And so all of a sudden, I just looked at my clock. We've been talking now for about 27, 28 minutes. Like, man, Lord, we could talk all the time. Maybe we'll do podcast number 2 together and kind of delve a little deeper into some of those subjects. And so I want to thank you for being on the show today. Also, I want to point out, Lorie, could you give everyone spelling as far as the website, as far as the best way to locate you guys?
Sure. So our website is fidelis-wealth.com, and that's FIDELIS-wealth. So come visit us. We've got lots of good information.
Yeah, fidelis-wealth.com, and financial planners, CFPs there on the south portion of Denver, right, as far as location, and really all the greater metroplex out there on Denver, and heading up to the mountains. And so beautiful area and phenomenal firm. I encourage you to check them out, and definitely connect with Lorie as far as all retirement planning questions. And Lorie, thank you so much for being with us today. And everyone, thank you also for listening again to another podcast on great decisions, incredible lives. And make sure you tune in next time when we'll talk again about how in the world you can make best decisions whenever things seem unsettling and you're not quite sure where things are going. You have a plan to set you forward to accomplish your goals. Look forward to talking with you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you again for listening to the Great Decisions, Incredible Lives, Retire with Intention podcast with host John Kriegmer. Follow us on social media, visit our website, and join our community of like-minded individuals redefining retirement and living incredible lives. Please leave us a review and share our podcast with others who may benefit. We wish you a future filled with purpose, fulfillment, and the joy of living your incredible life in retirement.